I'm gonna show you a knot that works really well for streamers and is easier to tie than the Duncan loop. Now I know there's probably a name for this knot, but a guide showed me once when I was fishing for tarpon, need a little more action on that fly, and he showed me this knot. So essentially what you do is you tie a regular old, overhand knot, right? Just a granny knot, I think that's what it's called, in your line. I know that seems counterintuitive, but tie a knot in your line, but leave the loop open. Now you're gonna essentially tie an improved clinch knot. So do your thing, right? Bring that open looped, just that crossover knot right to the eye of the hook. Do 4 to 5 wraps. Now you're gonna go through the little window right by the eye of the hook, but you're also gonna run that line like you do your clinch knot, but you're gonna run it through that open knot that you just tied. Bring it through the main knot, tighten everything up, weten it, and now you have a really easy to tie type of Duncan loop. I know it's really tough to see it on the line, but try that knot the next time you're out there, and I think you're gonna find it's far easier to tie than a Duncan loop, and it's gonna give you a little more action on streamers when you're fishing places like this.
Oh geez, yeah. That's a big fish.
That is a good way to start off the trip. Holy smokes. The Sculptzilla from Red Flies. I tell you, you've got to pick this fly up because it is deadly. It's kind of an early start. As you saw, I was doing an upstream cast. Seriously, you need to try this casting and fishing technique. It's the upstream cast. A lot of fly fishers out there will cast it across the river and let it swing, and that can be very effective. But a lot of times I've swung a hole like this one and didn't catch anything. And then as soon as I cast the fly upstream, and it's a weighted fly, right, and then pull it back downstream, trying to keep a tight line as I'm scooching that fly, swimming downstream, that elicits an attack from the fish, and it can be so effective. It's tough to manage, right? Your line's going all over the place. You're kind of behind the fly, but it works. The fly has less water tension, so it sinks further down, gets closer to the bottom. And if you can manage your line and keep a tight line, this can happen to you as well.
Oh geez, yeah. That's a big fish. Oh. Wow. Get on the reel. Oh.
That is a solid fish. He's just sitting there holding in the current. I tell you, that upstream cast is so effective.
Let's go get him. Ah, nice. Holy smokes. That is a big fish.
So you do want to try to keep as tight of a line as possible, but this particular tactic, this river tactic, very effective. I'm going to show you the benefit of resting a hole. So if you've got, and if you're lucky enough to have a section of river by yourself, no one's high hold you, no one's low hold you, and you fished a particular section like the one just behind me, and I caught an absolute beauty this morning. Check this out.
Nice. Holy smokes. That is a big fish.
That was a nice fish, probably 17 inches and nothing else, right? So I rested this spot for about 40 minutes before I came back up, and I stealthily came back up, and guess what? Had another big tug, and hopefully catch another fish in this spot because I let it rest, right? I was beating it up pretty bad with my big Sculptzilla and fly rod here, so it's always good to let them rest for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, come back, and a lot of times it'll settle back down. You can get into another big fish.
Oh man, that was a big fish.
All right, we're gonna talk about something that I've talked in the past, but I think it's important we talk about it again because it's super effective, and especially when you're fishing streams like this. And it's what I call walking the fly out. As you can see here, there's a nice bend in the river, right? The river is kind of rushing up to a bend, turning around the corner. There's that slower water on the inside. Now, your first impulse is to cast right at the seam. Maybe it's a bubble line, but right there, right in the honey hole. You want to wait, because sometimes those fish might be closer in. And if you just shoot right over to the best water, you may miss a fish that's just kind of hanging out right up close. So it's very important to walk the fly out, right? Start in close and then just keep working your way out. So essentially you're covering the section of the river that you're fishing like a grid. Don't cast straight out and try to hit the sweet spot right away. Work the water from the inside out like a grid, and you're gonna catch a lot more fish. And so the next time you're out there, be patient, walk the fly out, and this could happen to you too.
Big fish. Oh my God. Oh, that was fantastic.
I'm fishing the Yakima River today, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to tell you about a specific retrieve that works very well when you're swinging streamers. And that is called a wiggle retrieve. I don't know if I've coined that or not, or if somebody else has called that, but you know, sometimes there's kind of like the jig retrieve. Sometimes there's just kind of the fast strip or a slow strip or a slow pull. But what I have always called this is the wiggle retrieve. So a lot of times fish, when you're swinging a fly, they may not look at it, right? From just a strip standpoint or a swinging standpoint. But as soon as you put a little action on the tip and wiggle that tip just a little bit, all of a sudden the fish is just like, oh, they like how it looks in the water and they go after it. There was a day just a couple weeks ago, I was fishing the Yakima. It was pretty slow, and I decided, you know, I'm just gonna try this little wiggle retrieve to see if I can entice a bite. And sure enough, first cast, the first time I did that, bam, it was fish on. It was a really slow day too.
There we go. Fish on. Oh, yes. Nice. Oh, it's a good one too, Mark.
Try that the next time you're swinging streamers, and when it's right at the end of the swing and it's time to bring it in, fish it in, do the little wiggle retrieve, and you'll find that it'll work for you too. All right, well, I hope that helps you catch more fish. That was a pretty nice fish. All right, well, if you need a little help with your fly fishing cast, I put together a tutorial right here that after you watch this, it's 8 minutes, but this 8 minutes will help you cast that fly rod out just a little bit further than you are today. All right, until the next time, fish on.